A massive wave rises from the ocean, taller than mountains, faster than the wind. The sky turns black, the earth trembles, and in a single day, an entire civilization disappears beneath the sea. No survivors, no warning, only silence. This is the story of Atlantis, the most famous lost city in human history, a place so powerful that people still search for it today. But did it ever truly exist? And if it did, what destroyed it so completely? In this video, AI-generated visuals are used to imagine the past. These reconstructions help us better understand Atlantis' history, daily life, and the events of that tragic day. The story begins over 2,000 years ago in ancient Greece. A philosopher named Plato wrote about a place beyond the known world. He called it Atlantis, an island larger than Libya and Asia combined, a kingdom of unimaginable wealth. Plato described towering walls made of red, black, and white stone, canals connecting the city to the sea, palaces covered in silver and gold, temples dedicated to Poseidon, god of the ocean. Ships carried treasures from every corner of the earth. The people were engineers, warriors, and philosophers. They built machines no one else could imagine. For generations, Atlantis was the center of the world. Kings bowed before its rulers. Armies feared its strength. The world had never seen anything like it. But Plato said this empire existed 9,000 years before his time, long before Egypt, long before Greece, a civilization so ancient it had already been forgotten. Was he telling the truth, or was this just a story? In Plato's account, Atlantis was ruled by 10 kings, brothers who divided the island into kingdoms. The greatest was named Atlas. His palace stood at the heart of the capital, a city built in perfect circles. 3 rings of water surrounded the land. Bridges connected them. At the center stood a golden temple to Poseidon. Inside, a massive statue of the god riding a chariot pulled by winged horses. Every year, the kings gathered at the temple. They made sacrifices. They renewed their oaths. They promised to rule with wisdom and justice. For many generations, they kept that promise. The laws were fair. The people were free. The kings did not seek war. They built libraries, aqueducts, harbors that welcomed traders from every nation. But then something changed. The kings began to grow proud. They looked at their wealth and believed it was theirs by right. They looked at other nations and saw weakness. They began to desire more land, more power, more control. Plato wrote that with each generation, the divine nature in their blood grew weaker.
But the story did not end there. Survivors may have fled to nearby lands, carrying stories, carrying memories. They told their children about the great city beneath the waves until the story became legend, until no one knew what was real and what was myth. Historians debated Plato's words for centuries. Some believed Atlantis was real, others called it fiction. Over time, the legend became a curiosity. But the memory never truly died. Explorers searched distant oceans for traces of the lost city. Maps were drawn, theories were written. Some pointed to the Mediterranean, others to the Atlantic. The truth remained hidden, buried beneath water, buried beneath time.
In the modern era, archaeologists and marine explorers began searching again. They used new technology to scan the ocean floor. They studied ancient texts, and they discovered something surprising: evidence of real disasters, real civilizations lost to the sea. One discovery stood out: the island of Santorini in Greece. Around 1600 BC, a massive volcanic eruption tore the island apart. The explosion sent a tsunami across the Mediterranean. It destroyed the Minoan civilization on nearby Crete, a civilization that was wealthy, advanced, powerful, and then suddenly gone. Could this have been the inspiration for Atlantis? Many scholars believe so. The Minoans had grand palaces, complex water systems, art and culture that rivaled any in the ancient world, and they disappeared in a geological catastrophe, just like Plato described. But the timeline does not match perfectly, so the mystery remains. Was Atlantis inspired by a real event, or was it always just a story? Perhaps the answer does not matter, because the lesson is the same either way. Plato did not write about Atlantis to celebrate its glory. He wrote it as a warning, a story about what happens when a civilization forgets its values, when leaders choose power over justice, when people believe they are above the laws of nature. Atlantis fell because it stopped being great, not in wealth, not in military strength, but in character. The kings became tyrants, the people became proud. They believed their success made them invincible. And in a single day, everything they built was erased, as if it never existed. This is the curse of Atlantis, the forgetting, the loss, the realization that no matter how mighty a civilization becomes, it can fall. And when it does, almost nothing remains. Just stories, just legends, just questions. History is full of empires that believed they would last forever. Egypt, Rome, Babylon, all of them rose to unimaginable heights, and all of them fell. None escaped the same truth, that time erases everything, that the earth reclaims all that humans build. Atlantis is the ultimate symbol of that truth, a reminder that power is temporary, that arrogance leads to collapse, that the greatest threat to any civilization is not enemies outside its walls, but the corruption within them. Today, Atlantis lives on in our imagination. Some still search the ocean floor, others study ancient maps. A few believe it lies hidden beneath the ice or off distant coasts. But perhaps the real Atlantis is not a place, it is an idea, a warning that never grows old. Because every generation faces the same temptations, the same pride, the same belief that this time will be different. And yet, the lesson of Atlantis whispers across the centuries. Nothing lasts. Everything ends. The greatest cities crumble. The mightiest kings are forgotten. So if Atlantis ever truly existed, it is still out there, somewhere beneath the waves, silent, a ghost of a world that believed it could never die, a kingdom that vanished in a single day and left only a legend behind. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please consider subscribing. More forgotten stories are waiting.